taking out the next 30, 35 minutes of your day to be with us here at Ogletree Financial. My name's Doug Mitchell, and we're going to be presenting you a program today that kind of gets you back to basics. Louis LaBache has put together a great presentation for you. You know, this kind of goes back to the day when we all first started selling insurance, and you know, everybody wanted to, 20 years or so ago when term insurance started getting really popular, everybody wanted to buy term and invest the difference, and so we started seeing the decline in a lot of the whole life products and the universal life products out there. Well, what we're seeing today is the increase in those UL products that we had lost in the past, and so we're excited about what's going on. We think that we've got a great program here at Ogletree Financial to help you sell more universal life, whether it's indexed UL or just your regular universal life. A couple things I want to point out, because we're already into February. Tomorrow is February 1st. We've already gotten a great start off to 2013, but I want to remind you of the Ogletree Financial Producer Conference that's going to be in Mexico in 2014. It's going to be at the Now Resort right there on the Riviera in Cancun. It's going to be all expenses paid for you and a guest, and it's family friendly. So if you want to bring your kids, that's great. If you want to bring your mother-in-law to watch the kids, that's even better. But we want you to qualify. It's easy to qualify for. It takes $50,000 in target premium. So it's basically you do a case a quarter and you're there. But you pool all of your production, whether it's North American, Transamerica, Minnesota, Lincoln, doesn't matter. Whatever company we have, we pool all of your production, and that'll get you on the trip. So keep that in mind as we keep pushing on in 2013. Louis, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you show these guys the new Buy Term and Invest the Difference program we've got.
Okay, Doug. Hey, thanks. Hey, hello, everybody. My name's Louis LaBache, and today we're going to talk about specifically why don't more people buy permanent life insurance. And that's one of the things that's that we're going to talk about in this discussion. I'm going to go through a couple different programs and software programs that we have available. This is not designed to be a training class. We're trying to share some ideas with you, so I'm going to go fairly fast. But hopefully, if you got a piece of paper that you want to write something down and you have some ahas, I would suggest you do that, because we're going to give you some. So basically, when it comes to selling permanent life insurance, most recently in the last 20 years or so, 10, 15 years, it's been like trying to stick a square peg in a round hole. And and there's some reasons for that. We're going to talk about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to stop you having to have that problem, and we're going to introduce you to this new Buy Term and Invest the Difference concept. Okay. And going on, why don't people buy more permanent insurance? Well, it's less expensive than it's ever been. Guaranteed UL, even with the AG 38 coming into play, is still the least expensive way to buy permanent life insurance ever. All right. And it's inevitable, everybody still is going to die. That's last I checked. Nobody's getting out of here alive. And so having life insurance in force when you die is probably a good thing. And getting people to understand that has always been a challenge, all right? And we can even provide guaranteed returns in the teens using life insurance, leverage life insurance, taking somebody's good health, and if they just live the life expectancy, which many people are doing, they'll actually get, based on that money that's in that policy that they paid the premiums, they'll get a return on their investment in the teens, which is guaranteed. So there's some really good things there, but they still aren't buying this stuff as much as we'd like them to. So why don't they do it? Well, the public's impression is that you get a less bang for your buck with permanent life insurance. And why do they do that? Okay, that's a big reason. We're going to talk about that. A lot of people have group term included with their employee benefits, and it's has grown over the years, but I think right now group term insurance is a shaky benefit option. I think that's something you could have discussion with a lot of people, especially in the last 10 years or so, when a lot of people lost their jobs, and the new jobs they got didn't have a lot of term benefits or group benefits built into them. So depending on your group term insurance for your life insurance is got a little bit out of flavor of late, and as long as you can explain it to the client, they get to understand that. But one of the biggest reasons why people have bought a lot of term insurance is because the insurance companies are selling low-cost term. I mean, basically they figured out this is what people want to buy, and so they're providing us with those tools to go out and sell it. Other things are that reasons why people buy term insurance is because the financial pundits of the world, they preach against permanent life insurance. We got, Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, Clark Howard. There's probably a half a dozen more that you can name that basically talk about, this buy term investor concept. They reinforce this, and it's really an old concept because the idea behind this was based on the 80s and 90s when the markets were going crazy, and the traditional whole life products that were out there weren't really, producing big bucks, so to speak. And but I'll notice when any of these people talk about buy term and invest the difference, that's the way to go. I don't think very few of them mention 2001 to 2010. So basically, this is their, they say this is a great concept, but if you ever ask them about that, I think it'll be a different story. And also, we have these misconceptions about taxes and tax deferral that people have. For some reason, they've drunk all this Kool-Aid thinking that these 401ks and 401(3)Bs, et cetera, they're all, these qualified plans, they think they're tax deductible. In their mind's eye, they're thinking they're getting a tax deduction instead of a tax deferral. And they don't, realize that at some point in time, it's all going to come back and get them. And the brokerage firms, the people that are preaching the 401ks, et cetera, they really talk about spendable after-tax income. They do show these big numbers how you're going to, if you get, 8 or 9 or 10% or some number over this point in time, you're going to have all this money in there, but they don't talk about what you actually get to spend, and that's a big issue. And some people, for some reason, have got in their mind, and they think that all of a sudden at age 65 or 67, some magic year, that their income needs are just going to drop dramatically. All of a sudden, I'm not going to need as much money to pay my electric bill or for my, gasoline or for food. And so they have this mentality thinking about it, so that at age 65 or 67, they're going to be in this really low tax bracket because all of a sudden their expenses are going to be low. They won't need any money. And I think what most of them are going to find at 65 and 67, they're just going to keep on working if they can, because they're not going to have enough money to live, and they're still going to be in that tax bracket going forward. So let's just take a look at the 80s and 90s, and this is, we're going to use a software that comes, everybody that gets appointed with Ogletree has access to the software, and this is the calculator toolbook, and I'm just going to click on this and go here into the toolbook itself, and we're going to go into the Last Great Tax Saver, which is a program that I developed to help compare tax-free, max-funded universal life, index universal life, to all the other options that are out there. But for right now, we're just going to go into the S&P 500. And what I'm going to do here, this is a historical chart of the S&P 500, and I'm just going to show you that basically what has happened is that the green line, I'm just assuming that this is zero. This is, all the way across, this is like nothing happened. The blue line is basically what the S&P did, and this is, I'm going to go back, and we're going to go back to the 80s and 90s. This is where everybody seemed to think that, the Susie Ormans of the world and everybody else, they plug these numbers in. And let's do a 20-year chart. Let me go back to that time period. So I'm just drilling back here to the historical of the. So just look at this. So the blue line is how the S&P did from 1979 to 1998. That 20-year period, you'll see this looks really good, And at this point in time, whole life, I have a 4% on the gray line is running at 4%. So this is about what whole life was doing, might have been doing, depending on the contracts, might have been doing a bit more. Maybe it was doing 5. Even some products might have been doing 6%. And so those are the numbers that were in the whole life product. But this is the money in the market. So this is the impetus to say why you should buy term insurance and put your money over here instead of put it over here, because you'll get all this money. And that's what most of the buy term and invest the difference concepts are all based on, this model right here. Okay, they're not based on this model though, and this one, and this one, and this one. Okay, that's what they're not based on, because they don't look at these numbers here when they do this buy term and invest the difference. They only want to look at these numbers here. And so unfortunately, many people, they have bought or drank this Kool-Aid, and this is where they're at with their money instead of, someplace else. And even as time goes on, you'll notice that it, does make some comebacks. It does a few things here and there, going forward. But ultimately, here we are. If it was 89 to 2008, okay, look at this. I mean, it's way under the 4 or 6% that the whole life products would have provided, along with, basically the the life insurance that came along with it. So this is what they preached, and unfortunately, they don't tell the whole story, and subsequently, that buy term and invest the difference doesn't really ring true. So what we're going to do now is go back to the to here and talk about how do we get up against this wall, because basically we have this wall of thought and process that people believe, and subsequently, we can do a number of different ways, but the question is, how do we get through this wall of misinformation, because that's what people believe. Well, we can go around it, we can go on top of it, we can go right through it. Now, I think the problem, though, is that when we try to do these things, we end up becoming the bad guy, because the pundits, they do have an audience and they do have things. So rather than become the bad guy, they try to get around what they're saying or, overcome what they're saying, I think what we ought to do is we just, if you can't, fight them or go around them, it may be easier to go with the flow. And that's what we're talking about here. We should go with the flow and do the new buy term and invest the difference. So the way it works is this, okay? First of all, sell them what they want to have. Make them a client. That's probably the most important thing. The way they get their attention is if they're your client, you can talk to them about other things. Once you make them a client, then you can gather information about retirement planning and show them better ways to do that, and also help them analyze their investment options. So basically the idea behind this is that first sell them what they want, gather the information then at that point in time to do the retirement planning, and then help them analyze that stuff. And we're going to show you how, if you do this right, you're going to end up actually getting 2 sales out of this thing. All right. So first we're going to go this way. We're going to go back to the software, and we're going to help somebody figure out, because they want to buy term. And the big question is, well, how much term do you need? Well, in the toolbook, we have this thing called the minimum capital. And what this is, I'm just going to suppose that this person we're talking to has nothing, okay? I'm going to put 0. They have nothing at all. No life insurance, no anything. And this guy, we're going to talk about, he's making about $100,000 a year, and actually, he'd like to give his family, he believes that they could live on 70% of that if something happened to him. And, he's a nice guy. He's 40 years old, and he wants to take it all the way out to age 80. So basically, we do that, and we've got, if he passed away and gave his wife this $1.9 million of death benefit, and if she can get 5% on it, inflation's 3%, this is what the numbers would be to provide that income all the way out for 40 years. Well, let's just suppose, since he is making about $100,000 a year and he's working for some corporation, maybe he does have a $250,000 term policy, okay? So basically, he needs an additional $1.6 million. And that's a big number, and he may think, well, that's a lot of money. Maybe she can live on, some smaller number. We go down here. Maybe she could live on $50,000 a year because she'll get some Social Security or whatever. So whatever you come out to, you can move the numbers around to figure out what makes him happy, okay? And whatever you come out with, they make him happy. So I'm just going to suppose that we ran these numbers, look something like this, and he said, well, how about if I get $1,250,000? That would be the number. So using this calculator, we basically figure out what they need. And then, again, just to show you how this works, just suppose that he had a couple of kids. He just want to make sure that the kids are going to get through college, and they're, 12 years old or 10 years old, and he wants to make sure for the next, 14 years there's going to be enough money to put him through college. And he's got $250,000, and he needs $54,000 a year to take care of his family, pay his bills, and also put the kids through college and make sure there's money to do that. And if they have the $54,000 a year, there'll be enough money there to, pay the college, go to the community college if they have to, whatever else. So basically, he needs an additional $403,000 life insurance. But you'll notice that means that it runs out in the 15th year. There's nothing. But this is a program to help figure out how much life insurance you actually need. So we went ahead and we said that this person that we talked about, he settled on $1,250,000. So what we do is that we sell him $1,250,000. And this is I ran a 30-year level term policy, preferred rates. You can qualify for better rates, preferred non-tobacco, and it ends up costing them $2,000 a year. So the idea behind this is that we're going to go ahead and sell him the term, and then we'll work on the invest the difference part. So we're going to sell him the term. The term's $2,000 a year, but this is actually a North American contract. If you're licensed with North America and you sell them 30-year term, you get paid 100% commission. So you would make $2,000 on this sale right here. That would be that's the target premium. That's what you get paid on. So we're taking care of that. So we've taken the term and invest the difference, and we put it to bed. Okay. Once that's done, we can then go and point out that this is the insurance that's in place in case you die. This is to take care of your family if you die. It's the least expensive way to do that. So we've done that, okay? So we moved to the next thing. Made him a client. Now he's a client. Now we can go in and do some retirement planning. And this may be a second interview, a third, who knows whatever long it takes to do this, but first you're going to get paid $2,000 for doing something for him. And now we're going to go ahead and do this retirement planning. And remember I said this guy's, he's 40 years old. His name is John. He's making about $100,000 a year, which puts him in a 25% tax bracket. He's got a 401k plan at work, and he's got some matching funds, and he's putting like $13,000. He's doing a really good job, and he's getting matching contributions of $3,000 in his plan. And what we want to do is we don't want to touch the $3,000 or affect that. So let's just suppose that he's actually putting in $10,000 because he's going to put $3,000 and get a match up to the match. That's what he gets. So he has $10,000, and because it's taxable, if he doesn't put it in the plan, he really has $7,500 left. And there's some other things. His wife may have money, maybe making contributions. He may have some other savings programs that he's putting money in. So basically, just depending, you gather the data. And so what we're going to do at this point, we found that he's got $7,500 a year that he's using for retirement. So we're going to help him. We already took care of the insurance part. So now we're going to help him take care of the $7,500 a year and see how we can do that. So there's a number of different places he can put the $7,500. So how do we figure out what's the best way to go? So that being said, first we're going to run as a comparative. I'm just going to run a max funded index universal life illustration. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this guy who's 40 years old basically pay $7,500 a year into this program. And just a couple thoughts here. He's 40. The premium's $7,500 a year. And actually I'm going to allocate the money. I'm going to put 50% of the money in the annual point-to-point. And I'm actually going to put the other half of the money in the fixed account. So I'm going to be very conservative with this. And actually, I'm running this at 8% on the S&P, which is 0.1% less than I can, and it's 4% on the fixed account. So the composite rate of return that we're doing is 50% of 8 and 50% of 4. Add them up, it's about 6% is the projected rate of return that we're putting in this program. And it shows that he's paying $7,500 a year into the policy, and then he gets out into age 68 when he's going to retire. The policy calculates based on this projection that he can actually get $54,978 out of the policy all the way to age 100. And I'm just going to show you that another point about this policy is that different than some of his other programs that he's got, this policy actually has some guarantees. And this column right here is the 3% guarantee, underlying guarantee. And this policy, he puts in $202,000 into the policy over the next 27 years. And if he wanted to walk away at the end of 27 years, he would actually walk away. He could walk away with $223,000. I mean, that's the worst case. That means that the stock market went downhill every year for the next 27 years, and there was some kind of bird flu epidemic, and they had to charge the highest rates for life insurance in this policy that the company could charge. And this is what he would walk away with, $223,000. Probably none of his other investment opportunities have any guarantees to speak of, unless he puts it into an annuity. But essentially, this would be the worst case scenario. But actually, we're going to talk about a 6% projection, and this is what he gets for 6%. So it looks pretty good when you run the numbers. It goes all the way out to age 100. You'll notice that even at age 79, there's still $350,000 life insurance. So it did start out with 182, and it grows all the way up to 648 or 700,000 is the top, and then he starts taking the money out, and it goes on, and basically you can see that these are the numbers, and it just continues on. And even at age 100, he basically has $870,000 of death benefit. So the question is this a good option for him? And remember, he's got this mindset about life insurance. Maybe it's not a good idea. So let's just talk about that a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and tell him that this is the insurance that you should buy in case you live. The other insurance was the insurance you buy in case you die. This is the one in case you live, because this is going to provide you the income. And let me just show how that would work for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the Last Great Tax Saver software program. Click on this. And now when it opens up, we're basically going to go and we're going to go plug the numbers in. So we're going to say this guy's 40 years old. And we're going to put in $7,500 a year into the policy. And we're going to do that for 27 years. And in the 28th year, he's able to take out $54,978, and he can do that for 33 years. And we're going to suppose that when he takes it out, he's going to be in about a 30% tax bracket. He's in a 25% now. We're just going to make that decision going forward, and we're doing this at 6%, okay? So what this shows you is this is the $7,500 going into the policy, and this is the money coming out. So it looks pretty good. You know, small numbers going in, big numbers coming out. Yeah, it's not a bad program. But is that really the best program? Because, you know, and he's got that 401k plan. He thinks that's probably the better place because he gets that, what he thinks is a tax deduction, which is really a tax deferral, but it's in there. So we go ahead and click on the tax deductible, taxable. And what this does is that we said currently he's in a 25% tax bracket now. And remember, that's $10,000 we're asking to take out of the 401k plan that he would have put in there. And this is the numbers at the bottom. You'll see it's $10,000 is what he's putting in. So he's put in $10,000 for this, basically for this 27 years. And then he's going to go and attempt to try to match up with the insurance policy and take out what is equivalent to $54,000 after tax, which ends up being, because he's in a 30% tax bracket, he's going to have to take out $78,000 every year, about $24,000 more to pay the taxes, okay? And because all this up above the blue is all the money that goes to Uncle Sam, he doesn't get to spend any of this. Because it goes to Uncle Sam, it's not down here working for him, and it doesn't end up over here, and he runs out of money. Matter of fact, he runs out of money in the 41st year. And just to show you how this works, here he is. He's got $10,650. Matter of fact, let's just make this 6% because that's, you know, to compare apples to apples. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. So you see that it's got 10,600, and it just keeps on growing, and it grows all the way up to 675. So he gets to 675, and he's got to start taking income out. Now, if you look at what this is, he's got to take out 78,000, which is well over 10%. It's like 12%, and he's only earning 6. So no wonder he runs out of money. So with all the taxes he's got to take out, he's got to take out so much money that he drains the account. And here he is in the 39th year, 40th year, 39th year, he's flat broke, okay? So at 79, he's got no money. Such a deal, right? So maybe this isn't such a good place to put your money because of this tax problem, right? So let's just look at some of it. Well, maybe you could try CDs. Well, you know, CDs are paying about 1%. Get no tax deferral for putting it in there, and you run out of money real fast, okay? We can try annuities. Unfortunately, you have no tax deferral for the annuities as well. I mean, the growth is tax deferred, but when you put the money in, you get no, quote, immediate tax deferral on, you know, so you don't get your $10,000 equivalency. It's only $7,500. It's after tax money goes in. And when you take the money out, it's actually taxed the same way as the 401k because you take all the profit out first. And then once you start hitting into your basis, you have to take out less money to equal the 54,000, but you still run out of money very quickly. You can try tax-free bonds. Well, you know, these are only paying about 3.5%, and 3.5% doesn't compete with 6%. And they're not really designed for liquidation purposes. They're really designed for interest-only type accounts for the most part. And if the bond market were right now, which is kind of low, but if the bond prices should go up by 1% or 0.5%, the value of these bonds could drop dramatically, anywhere from 20% to 30%, depending on what happens with the interest rates. So this is a kind of a volatile place, scary place to be at this point in time. And plus, most of the money is invested with the municipalities of America, and they're all doing well, basically. So this is not a good place. So then the last place we have the Roth IRA. And this guy, he's only 40 years old, so he can only put $5,500 into the Roth IRA. So therefore, $5,500 can't even compete with $7,500. Plus, there's no arbitrage in the Roth IRA, and we'll talk about that later. So basically, when he takes the money out, it's gone, and you see he runs out of money very quickly. So let's just go to the summary page, and this kind of summarizes everything that he's got. These are his options. Remember, we took care of his term insurance and covered his term. Now we're talking about invested difference, and where should he invest the difference? Well, if he puts his money in his 401k plan, well, he can take out $440,000 more than he put in to spend, all right? Versus the life insurance is projected to take out $1.6 million. It's like 4 times as much. You know, CDs aren't very good. You know, the annuity, tax-free bonds, the Roth IRA. You know, basically none of these things come close to this. And so, Mr. Client, which place do you think you should put your money? You know, if you're expecting to get the best return on your investment on your side fund per se. And as you can see, the life insurance policy comes out way ahead. And also, we didn't even talk, this life insurance policy also includes some additional benefits, okay? And one of the benefits is this, is that right off the bat, it has $182,431 of life insurance right off the bat. Basically, if he puts his $10,000 into his 401k plan, and if he should happen to get run over by a car tomorrow, he actually has to still have to pay the tax on it, so he ends up with $7,500. Versus if he gets run over by a car tomorrow with this investment program, he ends up getting his wife gets a death benefit of $182,000, which is like 2,400% more money. Okay, 2,400% more money than he would get from the 401k plan. Then if we go out to age as an example, he runs out of money here at age 79, and I took these off the illustration earlier, but at age 79, there was a death benefit in the policy of $338,506. So that's how much money's left in the policy. So all things being equal, so if he actually lives to age 79 and actually happens to spend his last quarter just before he gets run over by that car, and he's flat broke at that time, his family would have nothing. But with the life insurance policy, this would end, the payments would end on this, but they would still had another $338,000 to the kitty to go to his wife or children, whoever he wanted to take him forward, and that would give him 76% more money than he'd get out of his 401k. All right, and then if we already get to age 100, which is more people and more people are going to get there these days. If he gets out to age 100, the death benefit at age 100 has grown to age 74.96. Okay, and so at the end of the day, totally, if he got to age 100, he would get over 5.5 times more money from this program than he would from his 401k plan. And that one outsells everything else. So if we're just going to compare this, the best to the best, really it's the second best to the best, you'll see that this is the best deal in town. So from a buy term and invest the difference, we took care of his term product, got him the best coverage for that, and then we also basically gave him this opportunity here to have over 5 times more money than he would have otherwise. And it didn't cost him an additional penny. We took the exact same dollars he was going to spend, gave him the best term rates for the term policy, and took his same $10,000 that he was putting in his 401k, equivalent of $7,500 here. He didn't have to take an extra dollar out of his pocket. He didn't have to give up one Starbucks latte or one tea time in order to fund this thing, because it's the same money he's already spending right now. So that's how that works, right? So going out of this, we're going to talk about the deal is that most prospects, they don't know that they don't know. That's the deal. That's what goes on. They really don't know what to do. And our job basically is simply help them understand it all. And we built these tools to help them make it easy for you to understand how much insurance they need and where's the best place to put their savings and retirement program. All right. So why does this all work so well? And I call it the big three. Okay. And the big three, and you probably won't hear this from anybody else but me, but we've looked at this, and the one big of the big three is annual reset. The insurance policy, these index universal life policies have annual reset. You only capture the gains. You don't lose any money when the market goes down. It only goes up. And as long as it goes up, you make money. And so none of the other opportunities that you can invest your money has annual reset, except for an annuity. And the caps on annuities are so terrible right now, they can't compete. And so annual reset is basically one of the big three events that make this thing all work. The second part of it is the tax-free income. Nothing else has the tax-free income. Well, the bonds are tax-free and the Roths are tax-free, but basically they can't compete from a participation point, they don't have annual reset. And basically the idea is that when you get tax-free, it works like this. Mr. Client, we can increase your retirement income by a minimum of 25 to 40%. Well, how do you do that? Well, first of all, you're probably in a 25 to 40% tax bracket today. And when you retire, you're going to be in a similar one, hopefully lower, but similar tax bracket, and we're going to take away all the taxes. And also when we do that, that money doesn't count towards your Social Security being taxed, and it also doesn't count towards your means testing for Medicare premiums. So by having this tax-free money, you get some additional benefits, but at the same time, if you only have to take out $54,000 out of your pot of money instead of $78,000 to have $54,000, you end up with a lot more money, and it'll last a lot longer. And then the last thing is this thing called arbitrage. None of the other products have arbitrage except for this Index Universal Life product. And the way this works, it's pretty simple. The product I showed you was a North American builder product. Last year, everybody who owned the builder product and actually borrowed money out of the product to do something with it, whether it was for income or they borrowed it to go buy a boat, whatever they did with it, they took the money out. The variable loan interest rate was about 4%. And everybody who had their money in the S&P 500 earned about 14%. So the people who borrowed their money out of the product still made 10%. If you take your money out of your Roth IRA to go buy a boat or pay the electric bill, it's not earning any money, period. If you take the money out of your tax-free bond fund to go buy a boat or pay the electric bill, it's not earning any money. This is the only opportunity where money that you take out to buy a boat and pay the electric bill still earns last year 10%. And it has the ability that if the market was going down, you could actually change over to the fixed loan, so it doesn't cost you anything. You don't earn anything, but it doesn't cost you anything on the loan part of it. So the idea behind this is that none of the other products have the big three, and the big three is what makes it all happen. So why is this Last Great Tax Saver the best retirement program in 20%? It's actually the new best difference, or the best new difference, the best new place to invest the difference, right? There's no additional cost for anybody to start the program. We're just going to compare apples to apples. Simple as that. Take the same money they're saving today, and that's a key point. If they're not saving money today, then just because you showed up doesn't mean they're going to be. So that's a big qualifier for you to, whether you want to waste your time or spend your time. You could probably still sell them the term insurance because they're going to need that. But if they're not saving money today, there's a reason for that, and they're probably not going to buy that much term insurance either. So the whole idea behind this is you got to find people that are saving money. And there are currently about 65 million plus people saving money in qualified plans today in America. So there's no lack of prospects out there. It includes immediate permanent life insurance benefit. Now the term insurance is only going to last 30 years. But the best time to have life insurance is when you die. And a 40-year-old is probably going to outlive his term insurance. But he needs it while the kids are there and while he's responsible for other things, mortgages and stuff like that. It's a good thing to have, right? The program will provide 25 to 40% or more income at retirement, tax-free. And I showed you how that works. And the reason for that, there's no risk, there's no taxable income, and also when you pass away, all the residual money goes income tax-free to your beneficiaries. If you had money in that 401k plan and you passed away when you died, they still have to pay the tax. So there's no free lunch with the 401ks. You may get it. You don't get a tax deduction. You just get a tax deferral. And another point is that if you're one of the savers of America and you saved your money in your 401k plan, and then you found out that basically that you did that, and you put your son through or daughter through college and they became a doctor or were making really big bucks, and you died and left your 401k plan to them, then you may have spent the money and cost you 25 or 30% in taxes. When they spend it, it's going to cost them 40% in taxes. So by just giving it to them, you end up with a 10% increase in taxes. Uncle Sam says, thank you very much for that, all right? Everybody can qualify. There's no limits on contributions. So if you want to put more money into this program, you can. There's no penalties for early withdrawal before age 59 and a half. So if you put your money into this program and 5 years from now there's an emergency and you need money, you can just go get it. Or somebody wrecks your car without any insurance or some problem like that, you can go buy a new car. You can get the money to do that. And you don't have to pay it back. And you can borrow it out at zero cost if you want. Just depends on how you want to do that. Or you can borrow it out and still make money on it. You have those choices. this is not just life insurance if you die, okay? It's also living insurance in case you live, and that's what you have to sell. Living insurance, we can provide over five times more income than anything else out there, and you know, it shouldn't be too hard for you to sell 5 times more. And this is the new buy term and invest the difference. So I'm going to turn this over to Doug now and let him finish up all of this and go from there. Doug?
Hey, Louis, thanks. That was great. And you know, guys, if you're not in the IUL marketplace, you're really missing the boat. If you read any of the trade journals out there, you've got to see where IUL is just the growing product. And we're here to teach you how to sell it. We're here to teach you about it, how to sell it. Use our website, www.iulworks.com. We post these webinars on there every Tuesday for our contracted agents. We have a training webinar where we'll break down these programs like the Buy Term and Invest the Difference. We'll actually sit down, open the mics up to where you can ask questions or type in questions, but we go a lot slower, and we show you how to put the numbers in. We show you how to talk about it to your clients. So there's some valuable things that you could be missing if you're not contracted through Ogletree. You know, some of the things that you're going to get with us, you get the top contracts that are out there. We don't give you a haircut so that you can do business with us and use our tools and the programs that we offer. Sales material, software, marketing videos, you just check out our website. You're going to see everything that's available to you. But these things sell. They do sell business. We've got agents that we've got a 3.5-minute video that one agent up in Michigan, for example, he's a health insurance guy. Every time he gets done with a health insurance case, he says, all right, now I want you to watch this 3-minute video on life insurance. And you can see it on IULworks.com. It's right on the front page there. It sells insurance. It gets them interested. They want to see what their own situation looks like when they see these little videos. Illustration support, you know, a lot of the shops that you're working with now, you call up and you might get somebody new each time to talk to. Well, you're going to get a dedicated marketer. Whenever you call here, you're going to talk to either Louis or myself. We can help you out with these sales ideas. We can run illustrations for you. We can teach you how to run them. Last Tuesday, we had an illustration workshop where we actually went in and showed you how to run the illustration. So there's a wealth of things that we can do for you: targeted marketing, lead list, awards, trips, and contests. You know, I mentioned the trip earlier to Mexico. Well, these carriers often also have trips. We're going to Las Vegas next week with North American, and it just took $25,000 in production to make that trip. The Transamerica trip, it's to San Diego this year. Just all of these carriers offer trips alongside of what we offer. So, you know, for doing $50,000 with Transamerica, for instance, you would actually qualify for their trip and our trip. Or if you did it with North American, you'd get the Vegas trip and our trip. So these piggyback off of each other. Guys, we really want to do business with you. We'd love to talk to you. Louis and myself have been doing these webinars for several years now, and it's amazing what we are able to see from when we started to now, and how this product has caught on, and we've been able to teach a lot of agents how to go out and use it. So give us a call. It's 800-466-8186. We're going to send a recording of the webinar out. We'll attach the contracting kit, but everything that you saw today is available to you at no cost. We just want you to do business with us. So I'm going to shoot out the contract to you. You'll see the contract, the commission schedules. You'll see that it's the top schedule out there. And give us a call. We can help you with your next case and get you up and running. So thanks again for being on our call today. Louis, great job on the presentation, and you guys have a great day.